Really excited about him. So over the last 3 or 4 years, he's been taking batches of the pictures and scanning them.
Good.
And then giving them back to me. And it's been really fun. And he gets real excited about my pictures because they have names on them. He says they never get pictures with names on them.
That is very true.
And then he sends them back in these archive safe boxes. And some are Hancocks and some are other family members, but I just got see, I have hundreds and hundreds of pictures. This is you want me to hold it
why
there?
don't you hold it up?
This is
Here, Lauren, why don't you...
This is August. Yeah. This is August Adranus York. Grandma Myra's brother. Myra York Hancock's brother, August Adranus York Jr. This is Grandma York, Hulda Content Terry York, and August Adranus York, and they were sent to be missionaries down in San Pete County to the Indians, and he was a missionary to the Indians for 20 years until they left to go out to the basin. There's a couple of kids in here and their grandchildren. I've got it written on the back here. I can't remember. I think they were Crandalls. Yeah, 2 Crandall kids. So that was just 2 grandchildren of theirs. This is Niles Peter York, the one that I was telling you about just now that I said with my cousin I was teasing about going to find out if he was really kind of grumpy or if he's been perceived wrong all this time. This is his blacksmith shop in Fairview, Utah, down in San Pete County. This is Aunt Irma. Your grandma. Your grandma's grandma. No, your grandma's mother.
Yeah.
Jackie's and Luann's mother. Aunt Irma. Is she beautiful?
She's very beautiful.
I just love that.
Oh. I've only seen pictures of her when she's much older, so it's kind of nice to see her when she's younger.
Yeah, she was such a beautiful woman. And this is Grandma Myra. And this is Ed and Myra. This is like I remember them, when I lived with them.
Yeah.
And you've seen this picture, I'm sure, but this is Jackie and Luann and Ed and Myra. And that's the furniture I have in there. I don't know, is this working?
No, this is great. This is fantastic.
Okay. This is Otis Lysander Terry. And he's one of our very interesting great-grandfathers.
Can you tell a little story about him?
He was, he also was from San Pete County. He was a polygamist. He had several wives. He was married to our grandma, Levy Teresa Judd Hancock York. I don't know, I should have gone through these a little better. This one is this is what Grandpa Ed took on his mission to New Zealand in 1906. It's all of Myra and Ed's children except my dad. He was born after the mission. So it's Aunt Irma and Aunt Lou, Aunt Phil, and Uncle Ted in the dress. Uncle Ted in a little baby dress right there.
And what year did he serve his mission in New Zealand?
1906 to 1908.
And you have his suitcase.
Yeah, I have it downstairs. And here's our pretty Grandma Myra. Wasn't she pretty?
Yeah.
In her youth. I think this was taken on her wedding day. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know how many of these you already have. This is our Hancock grandma, Margaret Melvina Bingham Hancock. And she was married to Solomon and Phoebe's son, Isaac Hancock. And she had a stroke when they said she was beautiful. She had a stroke when she was really young, and it affected her face, and she was very embarrassed by it. She didn't like to go out after that. I don't know quite how to show you this. This is the Hancock brothers. Every year they took their accounts on an excursion, they called it, and they would go like to Yellowstone or up to Idaho, and this is a sage grouse hunt. And this is Uncle Ted, my dad's brother, right here, the little boy. And then this is Grandpa Ed right here. And several of these other people are first cousins of Irma and my dad. I think that's kind of interesting. My dad was even on this trip. I told my kids they could donate these after I was gone. I just wasn't quite ready to do it yet. This is Phoebe, and this is with her children, Isaac, and I gotta be able to see their faces better. Isaac and Jacob, and then George W. Hancock, Phoebe, and her daughter Alta Hancock Davis. That's pretty neat to see that old lady that crossed the plains and suffered so much. This is Isaac Hancock, her Grandpa Isaac. I've learned a little bit more about him recently, and I thought that was, kind of a neat man.
Can you tell us a little tidbit about him?
He's the one that walked across the plains with the cows all the way barefoot and left his bloody footprints as he went. It was like, I'm wanting to say 13, I'm not sure exactly, or younger. What's his age? And this is he and his wife, Margaret. This is how pretty she was before that stroke. They settled Payson area. She was a real pretty lady before that stroke, huh?
Yeah.
And this is Phoebe again, and her son-in-law, Jonathan Davis, and her daughter, Alta Hancock Davis. So look at her little hands.
Yeah.
She was a weaver. She had the first, what would it be called? The weaving, the loom. Yeah, in Payson. This is the Hancock brothers' fruit and produce business. This is the fair display. Every year they had a big display at the fair.
Wow, that's pretty elaborate.
Yeah, it really is. And this is Margaret and Isaac and their children. This is Grandpa Ed right here. And this is a cute picture. This is Myra right here with a group of her mutual girls in a program. And I had fun with this because, you know, I lived with them, Jackie and Luann and I all lived with them, and they had the 100th year anniversary of the Richard Ward Chapel where we went to church. And I kind of got involved with that a little bit. And they had a big celebration, you know. And they had taken this picture, which I'd sent to them. And they had it sitting up on the middle centerpiece of all the tables for the lunch. So that was kind of neat to go back, and
yeah.
I didn't really know anyone anymore. It'd been too long, but I knew that there's children of the people that I knew that still live there, you know, and so I met a lot of people who I remember coming to our house all the time when we were kids growing up, you know, that were friends of Grandma and Grandpa's. This is the home of Isaac and Margaret in Payson.
Wow.
I think that's fascinating. I love that. It took me years to find out what this was, where this house was.
How did you figure out where the house was or what it was?
Well, Daddy thought it was their house, but I had no proof. I thought it could even be a house in New Zealand, you know. I don't know. It's in Grandma and Grandpa's things, but I ran into, you know, my search for the cousin. I ran into a cousin, and she had this same picture and told me who it was, and that's Grandma in the black outfit, the black hat.
Wow. They all lived in that tiny house?
Yeah, that big family lived in that house. I don't know what else I have here. Oh, this is kind of a neat picture. This is Grandpa Yort and Hulda Content Terry Yort, our grandma. And then it is her, I just stopped, Lillian York Pickering, their daughter and her daughter and the grandson. That was kind of neat.
Yeah.
The Pickerings were real prominent Payson people too, and they had twins, and they were pretty well known in the little town of Payson, you know. This is the Hancock brothers. This is their truck, their delivery truck for the Days of 47 parade. And Hancock brothers had one of the first two motorized vehicles in the valley. The other one belonged to ZCMI.
Wow. Well, they sure were really good at showing off their fruit.
Yes.
State fair and parades. They were really good. How long was the Hancock Fruit Company in business?
I think they started, I got it in that book sitting there, I think that it started around 1900, and it lasted until 1928, and then the Depression. It was the largest fruit and produce company west of the Mississippi, and they were really well known in the Salt Lake Valley. They were very involved in the church, and they were known as the most honest businessmen. And they even had a banana plantation in Mexico somewhere. I have all this in the book.
I was about to ask, where did they grow the bananas? But obviously somewhere outside of Utah.
They just had I don't know, amazing things. What amazing business. This is here, you can have that one.
Oh.
I must have two of those. This is one of the excursions to Idaho to hunt sage grouse. Look at all those.
And they brought their truck or their car, their motor vehicle.
Yeah. Have fun.
Oh.
I don't know. There's just trying to pick out the best of these things. Here are the brothers. This is Grandpa Ed, right here on the end, and this is Uncle Jerry. His name was Jeremiah Alonzo Hancock, and this is Uncle Ike, and he was Isaac. I can't think of his middle name, but he was the junior, to Grandpa. And they've got egg cartons here, standing outside their store.
It sure was the pride of the family, I'm sure.
Oh, they never stopped talking about it. Growing up, I don't know. I just was given this picture 2 summers ago. This is the Hancock Brothers horse and buggy. Can you see the sign, the name right there? And they lived over on the west side of Salt Lake, and they had a barn out behind. The brothers all lived close, to each other, and they had a barn out behind their house, a stable, and they kept their horse and buggy out there, and got out in the morning, went and got their horse and buggy and went to town. And this horse name was Black Brute. So I don't know what else I have here. I mean, it would take us forever to
go through every single one. That's okay.
So I want to. Grandpa. This was about the time he left for his mission to New Zealand too. My grandson, my oldest grandson's already lost his hair like Grandpa did, so young.
They do say it comes from the mother's side. And so he had 4 kids when he left?
He had 4. Aunt Irma, Lucille, Thela, and Ted.
Yeah.
And my dad came after. They lost their first baby. Their first baby was born and died on the same day. And their last baby was born and died on the same day.
Okay, so is this the same era, same set of family?
No, this is more my dad's. My dad built trucks during World War II for Freightliner Corporation, which is why he didn't go, I'll just show you that truck. Those are the kind of trucks that he built during World War II. This is little sweet Aunt Phil. We came from sweet aunts and uncles Scott. Her husband's name was Gordon Williams, and they had 2 children, Gina and Gordy, and he was vice president of the X-ray department nationally for General Electric.
Wow.
And they lived all over the United States. And I just have to show you this because I think it's just precious. This is Aunt Phil, and she was a gray lady during World War II. And this is her right here. And I just think that's just a precious picture. There's another one over here on this side of it that's she's right here with all the servicemen. I thought that was kind of just really a fun picture.
Now, what is a gray lady?
Well, they entertained the troops. Aunt Phil was a beautiful piano player, just beautiful. And they would, have dinners for them, and just like at the, what they call them, the cantinas, is that what they called them? Where they helped them get through the holidays, and
Now,
gave
were they
them
also
little gifts, and
were they also nurses?
had dances. I think that she wasn't a nurse, but they're dressed kind of like they were, helping some way in that effort. I've tried to find, there's only one of her children left living, and he doesn't want to be friends with me, so I thought how I'd like to pass that on to them. Let's see. These pictures are mixed up. I've got a lot of family in here. This is Aunt Phil right here, and her school picture.
Wow. Those are all the 1916 West Junior High, 8th grade.
Yeah, isn't that neat?
That is really neat.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I've got it.
Now, here's a picture.
Oh.
Here is my sister cousins. There's my sister's cousins. That's, how they were after Aunt Irma died, when we all moved in together. Jackie and Luann. And Luann has she has these little pants, these little black pants. I gave these pants to your dad. They were Grandpa Ed's. His mother made them for him. And when we all got to be about 9 or so, we would have to try the pants on and model them for Grandpa.
Oh, really?
And when your dad was here last, I sent a lot of things. I tried to share a lot of family things with him, and that's one of the things I sent to him. So I don't know. So I love this little picture. This is World War I. That's my dad.
Wow. Wow.
Isn't that fun?
That's great. He was already a stud at such a young age.
Here's my dad, too. This was about the time that he went to Holland on his mission. 1929.
Was he married then?
Was Daddy married? No. They didn't get married till 33. Now, this was one of the highlights of my life. We'll add this too. This is when I was able to join with a group of Hancock cousins, and we raised money and planned the trip back to Nauvoo and placed a grave in the same cemetery where Solomon Hancock was buried on his way west. It was a wonderful trip. It was just wonderful. It was so much fun. We ended up getting 75 people to go back there from all over the United States to do the monument. Oh, it was such a neat time. A great trip. My friend went with me because I could talk Tom into it. And here's our grandpa. This is how he was how he looked when we were all growing up there. I don't know. Oh. This is Easter Sunday. This is Uncle Jack right here. Mm-hmm. And Aunt Phil and my mother and Jackie and Aunt Irma and Aunt Lou and me and Luann and Grammy, Myra, and Uncle Gord, who was married to Aunt Phil, and Grandpa. We're just all standing in the backyard.
And someone's shadow taking the photo.
Yeah, that would be my dad.
He's in the photo too. That's great.
So I don't know. Kind of. This is Aunt Lou. You know, she practically raised Jackie and Luann after their mom died. We had quite an interesting household. The other people in this photo are me and my oldest boy, Tommy. This is 1970. Wow. Well, this is right before Aunt Lou died. She died. Yeah, it was my birthday, January 21st, 1970. And she died not too long after that. Aunt Lou, she had a real sad life. She married her childhood sweetheart. Wally Fugger was his name. And he had come back from World War I and completely changed, you know. And in fact, Luann and I talked about this. She said, why were the uncles kind of gruff, you know? And I said, it had to be, you know, the war. I mean, and the horrors that they saw. But anyway, Aunt Lou was never able to have children. And Uncle Wally was salesman for very high-end upholstery, and they lived in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles and San Francisco, and you know, just had really nice things, and he made good money. But he traveled a lot, and she was alone, and she was real lonely and sad, you know. And then Uncle Wally, she always had a little dog, and he would get mad at her, and he'd kick the dog or beat the dog, you know. And my dad remembers Uncle Wally when he was a child as just this wonderful man, this young man, and his sisters with their boyfriends, when he talks about Uncle Wally giving him a gun once down on the ranch. And so they're just this horrible change. But he finally divorced her and broke her heart because she truly loved him. And she was living in LA then, and she started drinking, and she was a nurse to a man for a long time. She was not an RN, but a LPN, we called them back then, licensed practical nurse. And she spent the rest of her life taking care of elderly people, and she was sweet, wasn't she, Tom? She was funny. We used to call her the armchair general because she had emphysema really bad. She didn't have much energy, and she'd just sit in her chair, and then Lynne, go do that, just go do this. She always called me Lynne, and Tom did millions of things in the old house to spruce it up, when she came, but we called her the armchair general because she'd just sit there huffing, puffing, and telling us, this is the way I want you to do this right here. But she was always so grateful for everything you ever did for her. She was so grateful. And she just loved us all. And I remember when Jackie got married the first time to that Jack Luke, Aunt Lou just pouring her heart into making a nice wedding for her. It was held in the house, They didn't ever have much money, but she tried so hard to make it nice. And I remember we went shopping downtown and bought Jackie things for her wedding, and had fun times doing things like that. But she was just a heart of gold, just this sweet lady, and she loved those two girls and tried so hard to fill in, and be there for her. Mom said it was really amazing that we all turned out semi-normal, is the way Mom put it, because she said those three girls had so many bosses. And you'd go in the living room, open the ironing board, and Grammy had taught us all how to iron. Well, then Aunt Lou came to live with us, and she had a whole different way of going about it. So then she would tell us, no, don't start there on a shirt, start here, and then Mom in between was trying to teach me how to iron. And then Aunt Irma had this really good friend. They worked in the munitions plant in World War II, and they stayed really good friends. Her name was Alice Husbands. And when, a long time after Aunt Irma died, Alice came. She had a motel in Parowan, Utah, down by Beaver, and she would come and stay with us, live with us in the winter. Then in the spring, she'd go back and open up the motel. And she and Aunt Lou were really good friends. But then Alice got in there telling, mostly it was me by then, because the other girls were gone, but how to do things. Mom said it was just amazing that you didn't, just turn out to be really weird girls. Maybe we were, I don't know. We were all pretty different, I'll say that. and I was the baby, so. But Aunt Lou, I guess they got a phone call. I guess Aunt Phil had a phone call. They were very close. They were like 18 months apart, and they were close all their lives. And then Grandpa went, after that phone call came, Grandpa went to California and brought Aunt Lou home. And then she was there, till she died with Mom and Daddy. So it was a house full of love, and you knew you were loved, and by so many people. But however, Luann was Grandpa's favorite.
Oh, really?
Yes, she was Grandpa's favorite. So, my Luann, he used to always say, my Luann.
Is she named after Aunt Lou? Aunt Luann, is she named after? Is there a correlation between the
I think
Lou?
that there must have been something, Aunt Phil named her daughter Jean Lucille, after Aunt Lou, and I think maybe the sisters did that, because they knew she couldn't have children. But